Yes, sir. Welcome back. We had another episode of Real Spit. It's your boy Spitty. Let's get right into it. So it's been a lot of talk over the last couple of days about shopping at black businesses. And, should you feel obligated or, all of that. Do I feel obligated to shop at black businesses? No, I don't feel obligated. Now, do I like shopping at black businesses? Do I like, patronizing black businesses? Yes, absolutely. Reason being is because I definitely like supporting people that look like me, supporting people who, come from, same places, same circumstances I come from. But I've never felt obligated. I want to rock with places that have good customer service. I want to rock with places, I like a good product or a good service. You know what I mean? No matter what color you are. Do I feel obligated to, hire people of color or hire black people or to work with black people? No, but I do like to, give opportunities to people that look like me as well. It's funny because this whole conversation about, shopping at black businesses, going to black restaurants, things like that. It's just been getting a lot of attention. Wallo was just talking about it. He was going hard on it. Pause. And I agree with him, like on the tip of it's all about like your product, your service, your attitude. It's been plenty of spots that I've walked into where it might be a girl at the counter and she might be in her phone or whatever and might be doing something. And then, I get up to the counter and she look at me like, I didn't interrupted her day. Like I didn't, slow down her process or something. You know what I mean? So in those situations, sometimes I'll walk out, man. If I go into a spot, you on your phone or you know what I mean, like preoccupied with something else, then I might not even do no business there just because I'm already seeing like what type of time you on. Now, the first thing, is, customer service. How are you treating me when I come into a spot? What type of vibe am I getting when I come into a spot? Like you got to leave your bad day at home and know that when you here at work, you need to, be presenting, some open energy. You know what I mean? Because people don't want to go and spend their money somewhere where they don't feel welcome. So, that's a big thing is that customer service. Another thing that I notice, when I go to, some black establishments is the difference in price. Like, why if I go to this spot versus going to this other spot is the price so much higher? You know what I mean? Like, what's making it like that? You know, um, could it be, like higher rents and, higher overhead? You know what I'm saying? Because people of color, aren't able to or are getting, worse type of loans or rents are higher, things like that. Or I don't know. I don't know what the or is. Shit. I just know that when I go into certain spots, like, that price be different. And I can never understand that. It's funny because as I've traveled around the world, as I've been to other places, like for instance, I lived in New York. I remember when I first ever visited New York, I thought the people in New York were rude. But then as I lived there and got to understanding the lifestyle and understanding the culture, I just understood that, man, like that's just the way that folks move out there. Folks is trying to get on with their day. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily being rude, but it's being direct. And I think it's a difference between being direct and being rude. You can be direct in your approach and be stern in your approach, but not necessarily be rude. Certain cases, though, I almost, look for people to be rude. And when I say that, I mean, like, if I go in like a Caribbean restaurant, and I think this has to do with just understanding like cultural differences too. Because I almost expect when I walk into a Caribbean restaurant for the person to be rude when I walk in. It's almost like, yo, if I'm getting my plate and if I ask for an extra scoop of oxtail gravy, you know what I mean? Like if the woman don't roll her eyes at me and, what I'm saying, ask me if I want anything else, I might, think that the food don't even taste good there. So I'm almost looking for, that type of energy when I walk into a Caribbean restaurant. But again, if you've either lived in New York that has like a high, Caribbean population, or if you've gone, anywhere in the Caribbean, gone to Jamaica or, what I mean, the Virgin Islands or, anywhere like that, gone to, any of these places, then you just understand that it's not even them being rude. It's just a part of their culture and just kind of a part of how they move, how they communicate. But I definitely don't think that there's an excuse. for bad customer service. You know what I mean? Like, don't make me feel bad for coming in your spot when I'm trying to spend my bread. You know what I mean? Like, shit, I could cook at home. I could, you know what I mean? I could do this myself if I'm gonna come in here and get an attitude. And shit, sometimes I ain't gonna lie, I feel like depending on the attitude, I'm kind of nervous. They might do something to my food or something. So, you know what I mean? Like, I try to, steer clear from places where the customer service, is bad. But I've also been to, white establishments or been to, establishments that aren't black and have definitely sat down in a restaurant and then noticed, somebody else getting their food before I get my food, or noticing, people being treated, better than I've been treated, in a spot or whatever. So, I mean, it's two sides to the coin. You know what I mean? I've definitely been, on both sides of it and have seen that. And also have gone into white establishments where, they don't think that my kind, can maybe afford, what it is. Like, I done been in the Louis store and in there looking, when you go in the Louis store, and you buying stuff, man, they come, they bring the tray, they giving you champagne and all that. I done definitely been in the spot looking at stuff and, you know what I mean, like getting ready to buy stuff and all that. And then have to ask them like, hey man, like what's up? Like y'all, what's up with the champagne? What's up with the bubbly? You know what I'm saying? So definitely have experienced it, from both sides of it. For me, I don't fuck with bad customer service. I don't fuck with bad attitudes. I don't fuck with bad vibes, bad energy, low vibrational energy. So any establishment that I go into, no matter what color you are, you could be purple. If you ain't making me, feel good shopping in your establishment or, paying for your service, then I'm not rocking with it. You know what I mean? And that's just the bottom line for real. So another thing that I notice when I walk in when I go to black establishments is the automatic gratuity. Like that's a huge issue for me. Like man, don't charge me 18 to 20% already when I just come and sit down. That's automatically on my bill. What if the customer service wasn't a 18 or 20% vibe? You know what I mean? And I don't want to feel obligated to have to pay that. Like, man, I go into a spot, get an appetizer, get a meal, and and my bill is damn near already $100, and it's just me because the damn gratuity on top of what I done bought then made my bill skyrocket. Like that's not cool. So I think a lot of these establishments, like adopted that whole like auto gratuity like around COVID, which was understood, where if you were, buying stuff off DoorDash and, all that, and then you get your bill and like you still have to, put in that gratuity to help pay for the people that's in the restaurant working and all that. I can understand that. But man, the world is open now. Like this ain't COVID no more. It's not a pandemic no more. So I need y'all to take that gratuity, that automatic gratuity off the bill. Like, please let me choose what I want to pay you. Man, I just had a situation at a restaurant, and I'm not going to name the restaurant, but me and my partner went in, they were packed. So we were going to actually order to go. I decided not to because I like my food piping hot. So I don't like to order food, take it home, and then eat it kind of lukewarm for real, especially if it's not like close to the crib or close to the office. I decided not to order. My partner ordered some food to go. We saw some seats at the bar open up. So then we went inside at the bar and he just had his food come over to the bar and I sat at the bar with him and I ordered some food so we could eat. They like after a few minutes, I think because he had finished, like he didn't eat all of his food or whatever. So we was sitting there at the bar and man, they bugged us a couple of times while we was in the restaurant trying to move us out of there because my boy was finished eating and I wasn't even finished eating my food, but the pressure they was giving us because they was trying to, get some more seats open so some more people could sit at the bar. Like I wasn't feeling it. And I kept telling them like, yo, we just ordered, he ordered to go, but some seats came up and I'm sitting here eating. Like, can we finish eating? And I guess they ain't understand that or they ain't want to understand that. You know what I mean? Like it was a busy night for them. They seen just the opportunity to get some more seats at the bar, so they wanted to take advantage of that, get as much bread as they wanted. And then two, I wasn't drinking like that either, so they probably like, man, if you don't get your ass up so somebody can come over here and get some drinks and really spend some bread up in here. But I felt the type of way just because I go to this restaurant regularly, and was treated like that. You know what I mean? So I wasn't really feeling that. So attitude and like how you treat your customer, like go into this so much, and it's so important, to get repeat customers, like to get me to come back to your spot. Like I need to feel good. I need to know that, me coming in here like that, I'm not gonna leave out like, feeling like a piece of shit for real. And then two, is your product, is your service good? You know what I mean? Like that's a whole nother subject on that, because I'm not gonna feel pressured to go and shop at a black establishment just cause. I wanna, shop and patronize places where the service is actually good, where I know that is good and that it's on point. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just gonna support your business just cause you black. You know what I mean? Like just cause you black don't give you an excuse to have a bad attitude or to, overprice your products or, do things like that. Like the product actually got to be good. But that also is the case if you any other type of establishment that's not black. Like at the end of the day, it's all about the product, the service, the customer service that's being rendered, and the vibe that I get when I walk in the door. And that's that on that. You know what I mean? That's real spit. Like you gotta come with that good service, that good customer service, and you got to make folks feel good and want to come back to your establishment. Um, I hear people like compare other types of establishments and say, well, when you go in a Chinese restaurant, like maybe they don't treat you as good, or they don't talk to you, like the way that you may want to be talked about. But for me, I can't talk about how other folks move, or how, what I mean, when I'm talking about black establishments, needing to have good attitudes and all that. Like one thing I don't like to do is I don't really like to compare, when it comes to, especially when we just talking about like bettering ourselves, we talking about stepping our game up on stuff. Like I've never been one to be like, oh, well, such and such doing it like that, or these people doing it like that, so maybe we shouldn't have to worry about those things. Nah, it's like we gotta fix our attitudes. You know what I mean? We gotta adjust like how we moving, because I can say that when I go to a lot of black establishments, that is one of the issues, is our attitudes. You know what I'm saying? One thing that I noticed too, though, is that like black folks, we can be super critical on other black folks. I feel like, it's interesting because it falls in the same line as like how you could be more critical about somebody in your family than you would be versus somebody outside of your family. Like you would tolerate one of your partners moving a certain way, but then if it's, your brother, your sister, your cousin, mom, son, daughter, you know what I mean, somebody in that close family dynamic, then we seem to be a lot more judgmental on the way that they move versus, people that's, not necessarily connected to us that close. And I feel like black folks are that same way when it comes to black establishment. We sometimes can be overcritical, on it. Like be willing to, post bad reviews and talk about, establishments, by people of color, when you might have been treated that same way somewhere else and might not post a review or might get them another chance or something like that. So I think a lot of times black folks, we can just be a little bit too critical against each other. We need to give each other grace, like in that regards. But then also, I mean, I think that you should go shop where you feel comfortable. You should patronize with businesses that you feel comfortable, and not be obligated to shop somewhere because somebody look like you or, whatever. So that's real spit with that.